guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another episode of How About Them Celtics. Sam and I are here recording on Monday, August 28th. And per usual, it's the middle of August, or actually technically the end of August. August went by pretty quick in hindsight. At the time, it felt like it was dragging on, but August is almost over. Unfortunately, instead of being rewarded with basketball, and there is FIBA and stuff, but I mean Celtics basketball. Instead of being rewarded with Celtics, we were rewarded with September, which could be worse than August.
Well, I don't
really know.
There's training camp towards the end of the month, correct?
I think so.
So we'll start to get more quotes. We're going to start to hear more reports. This is like the last
September
push.
30th. September 30th. So no, not really.
This shit sucks.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Training camp opens for teams participating in preseason games outside North America. October 2nd is the first one for U.S. teams. And the Celtics aren't playing outside North America. So no, September's not going to be better is what we just learned before the show starts. So we are in for another great month of nothingness where we are doing our best to find content to give you guys entertainment, which I think we've done a pretty good job at doing. Shout out to Bleacher Report and Celtics blog and everything.
We definitely have.
We're trying.
Considering the hand that we're dealt.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying our best out here. But with that, we do have some stuff per usual to talk about. And we can start with an article from Bleacher Report, which, again, thank you to Bleacher Report for giving us stuff to talk about in August. The article from Bleacher Report is Zach Buckley's article, and it is the top 3 trade targets for every team. Obviously, the Celtics fall under the category of every NBA team, so they do have a list of some potential trade targets. The first one being Dorian Finney-Smith, who is a name that we've talked about as a potential trade target for the Celtics. The only issue now being how would they get to the salary to trade for Dorian Finney-Smith, which is something we can also discuss. But before we get to that part, we can talk about the on-court fit. And yeah, I mean, that's probably as good as you're going to get for a role player on the Celtics right now.
How much money does he make?
$13 million.
So you'd probably have to give up what?
Let me take a look. I'll take a look in trade machine while you talk about
if the Celtics wanted to pay $13 million for a guy that can shoot threes and play defense, then they could have paid Grant.
Yes.
They certainly could have. If you were to trade for him, it would probably financially cost Al Horford. Maybe, I mean, Pritchard would probably be in there. Who else could you throw instead of Horford to eat up a lot of that money, though?
The Celtics, even if the Celtics traded Peyton Pritchard, Luke Cornett, O'Shea Brissett, Delano Banton, and Sam Hauser, they still wouldn't be able to match the salary of Dorian
That's the problem.
So I think the only plausible scenario where a trade for Dorian Finney-Smith would make sense is if Malcolm Brogdon comes to Celtics and saying, yeah, it's just not working. I don't really want to be here anymore because you tried to trade me. And then you have to trade Malcolm Brogdon. And then you could do like a Dorian Finney-Smith plus Royce O'Neal and get extra forward depth, but then that would really leave you thin at the guard. So that doesn't even make sense. But like, I understand why Zach Buckley put Dorian Finney-Smith in here, and he said it this way: if Boston could squeeze a 3-and-D wing into the budget, that would give this team someone who can spell the Jays, a slot along them in the smaller, switchier lineups. Finney-Smith fits that mold. The issue being they have no feasible way of actually adding him via trade unless they are significantly changing the outlook of their core 8 people. But outside of the fact that it's not realistic in terms of a trade, Dorian Finney-Smith is cool, right? It's tough to think of trade candidates outside of the $6 million, $7 million range at this point for Boston.
It's true. The flexibility is just not there roster wise. There are too many players that could be in there. Like, there's just no mid-level salary guys on this team that you're really willing to get off of. Like, Horford is just not one. He's an important figure. He's a leader.
He's more valuable to Boston than the salary he would send out to trade, like to other teams. Yes. And I think that's a big part of the problem there. Like a team like the Nets, even if you're the Nets and the Celtics are willing to do Horford and Pritchard for Dorian Finney-Smith, why would the Nets want Al Horford? Like maybe he's a nice veteran leader for them, but at that point, just keep Dorian Finney-Smith and on his 3-year contract, trade him down the line as a salary filler. Peyton Pritchard maybe, but it just doesn't really make sense for everybody involved. Now, if you offer them Rob, maybe, but then even then, like Nick Claxton is filling the same role that Rob does for the Nets. So how much do you need Robert Williams versus Nick Claxton? It's just tough. Dorian Finney-Smith, like, don't get me wrong, this isn't a shot at like Zach Buckley saying it's a bad fit. It's a great fit. If the Celtics could get Dorian Finney-Smith, that'd be a great addition. There's just no real way to do it.
Yeah, that's the problem with August is, last time we saw the Harden trade, which was Al Horford goes back to Philadelphia, which nobody there would want. No. But some of these other options aren't terrible, right? Like, I would say Dorian Finney-Smith of the three, who we have not revealed them all yet, is the best fit. It makes the most sense. And if he was to wind up on the Celtics, they would get the best use from him. Just because he is the quintessential role player in today's NBA, 3-and-D, perfect fit on any competing team. But these other two guys are kind of interesting too. One of them, you have been like, this guy's good. Like you're on the Tyus Jones train.
I really like Tyus Jones. Again, the only issue is he makes $14 million. So how are the Celtics realistically going to acquire him? That being said,
what is the obsession with that range for Zach Buckley?
I don't know. I don't know if it was like we'll trade X, Y, and Z and switch up the core significantly. The Tyus Jones thing, if it was as simple as, Malcolm Brogdon for Tyus Jones, I'd make that switch yesterday. Not because I don't think Malcolm Brogdon is a good fit, even though I have complained in the past. Like, Malcolm Brogdon is a better shooter than Tyus Jones, which is probably the best reason. And that's not to say Tyus Jones is a bad shooter. I'm pretty sure he shot like 38% from deep last season. I'm just going to double check so I don't sound like an idiot. 37% from three last year, which is fine. But I think Tyus Jones is a better pure playmaker, especially when he gets those extra minutes. The issue is Tyus Jones wants to be a starter somewhere, and I do think he's good enough to be a starter in the NBA. I mean, he started for those Grizzlies teams when Ja was out, and they were still pretty damn good when he was in the starting lineup. So there's something there. The issues are he makes $14 million, so you'd have to trade Brogdon or one of the bigs and Pritchard for him. And he's entering the last year of his contract, so the Celtics would also have to worry about extending him. Again, if it is the Wizards want Malcolm Brogdon, you get back Tyus Jones. Like, if the Wizards were interested in this for whatever reason, which they probably shouldn't be, Tyus Jones and DeLon Wright for Malcolm Brogdon, I think would be a fine trade. Not because I think Malcolm Brogdon is the best player of those three. However, you'd have some extra depth in case Pritchard gets upset. You'd have another guard to go to. You'd bolster your lineup. I think Tyus Jones would be fine. I don't know if I would definitely do it, but then the issue is, why the hell would the Wizards want to do that, right? Like, why would the Wizards want Malcolm Brogdon? I love Tyus Jones as a trade piece. I think he would be a great starting point guard for the Celtics team, but I don't think he's good enough to start over Derek White. I don't think he's better than Malcolm Brogdon as a six man. And so because of both those things, it doesn't really make sense. And three, I don't think the Celtics would want to worry about extending him right now. So as much as I love the fit, if the Celtics needed a starting point guard, because I do think he'd be the perfect starting point guard with his group, they don't need a starting point guard. And the money doesn't work to get him as a backup.
Yeah. I mean, you said it really pretty much as good as you can say it. He's not as good as the other two guys.
No, he's really good, but yeah,
I'm kidding.
It's tough. It's just an awkward situation. He makes too much money, not on a long enough contract. He's 27, so there's room to improve, but I don't know. I almost feel bad for Tyus Jones because he got traded to Washington for like 2 days, was the starting point guard. Then Jordan Poole gets traded to Washington. And now like he'll probably be the starting point guard still, but Jordan Poole's going to take a lot of shots from him. He'll probably still start at point guard, but Jordan Poole is probably just going to take the ball a lot. So he almost got traded. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Tyus Jones is in Washington for one season, then leaves or is traded at the deadline. Because
how many years are on his contract?
This is the final year of his contract. So like,
what if they waive him?
To worry about. No, they would wait.
I guess the trade makes more sense.
He's 27. Yeah, he's still. I mean, he's a starting caliber point guard in the NBA. Like they're either going to trade him at the deadline or roll with him in a backcourt. With Jordan Poole, which could make sense. It'll just take the ball out of Tyus Jones' hand a little bit, probably more than Tyus Jones would like. But the last player the Celtics could target, according to Zach Buckley, is another point guard, TJ McConnell, out of Indiana, which makes the most sense in terms of salary. It's probably still a little bit too much for the Celtics to deal with in a trade. TJ McConnell makes $8.7 million. So in order for the Celtics to acquire him, they would have to either trade one of their bigs, which is Horford or Rob, who make 10 to 11 million, or they'd have to trade Pritchard, plus like Brissett plus Cornette, and if they trade Pritchard plus 2 minimum contracts, then they will have enough to trade for TJ McConnell. And at that point, I say just keep Peyton Pritchard. Like it doesn't make that much
Exactly.
extra sense. Yeah. So again, I don't really
Trades aren't even fun. Trades are not even fun anymore. The stuff we are left with now is just like weird hypothetical stuff.
Welcome
Like
to August.
I think TJ McConnell has always been an interesting player because he's like a real hustle guy, and that's really all he's got. But I'd rather have Peyton Pritchard flat out. Peyton Pritchard is very skilled. He definitely has some kind of future in the NBA. He's just in this weird spot where there's a zillion point guards, not only on the Celtics, but just across the league. So he really has nowhere to go in terms of major minutes. He's a little bit on the smaller side, but he can light it up offensively. We've seen him do it at a pro level. When he first got on the scene as a rookie, he was really impressive. We were all in on him. We were like, Peyton Pritchard's going to be the future of this team, blah, blah, blah. He's going to take over when Kemba's done. That was a conversation we had. And he definitely has a real spot in this season's rotation, at least you hope. You'd imagine, at least in the regular season, he's going to see some significant time, right?
Definitely. And I think the only like reasoning for TJ McConnell makes more sense is you get the extra playmaking. Like he'd probably be, would TJ McConnell be the best playmaker on the Celtics roster? That's not a knock on, Derek White or Malcolm Brogdon, but in the role Malcolm Brogdon played last year, he wasn't a playmaker. And at his best, like TJ McConnell a couple years ago averaged like 6.6 assists. Like he's a low key a very good playmaker, and he did that in less than 30 minutes a night. Like per 36 minutes, TJ McConnell averages 8.3 assists on his career. Like he's a really good playmaker in a backup point guard role. So that's the only argument you could probably make to say, okay, yeah, let's get TJ McConnell in here.
He actually had a really good season.
Last year, yeah. No, TJ
he had
McConnell's
really good
player.
splits. 54.3, 44.1 for a guy that typically doesn't shoot well from three.
He didn't. Well, he took less than a 3 a game, but he did shoot them well when he did take them. So there is that. It's just the only argument I could see for TJ McConnell is, okay, maybe you'd rather the playmaking over the shooting of Peyton Pritchard because you have so much shooting elsewhere on the roster. But again, if you're having to include I know Luke Cornette doesn't seem like the most valuable asset in the world, but when he's your 4th string big man with 3 injury-prone guys ahead of him, or 2 injury-prone guys and a 37-year-old, you probably don't want to give him up. And then also trading a guy you just signed, an O'Shea Brissett or Delano Banton or whoever, it gets to be a lot for a guy who's probably not going to play in the playoffs, right? So
correct.
Tough. I like it. If you really want to make a list of, here are some Celtics trade targets: Dean Wade, Furkan Korkmaz, people who fit into the $6 million TPE the Celtics have, which people hate talking about because no one cares. It's depth guys. It's all guys who are probably not going to play many minutes. It is all guys who are probably, not going to play minutes on the team they're currently on. And it's all guys that the Celtics could get for 2nd round picks at the trade deadline, a la Mike Muscala, right? That's a trade target. So
big addition.
Yeah. And it's kind of useless to talk about guys who make more than $6 million because there's no feasible way for the Celtics to acquire them. Although if you're ignoring the salary cap, then all these trade targets make sense, right? Like I wouldn't mind any of these guys in the salary cap. But, yeah, let's play some 2K. Anyways, all right. Speaking of trades, we have another trade to talk about. This is a trade from Lee Tran of Fadeaway World. And sorry, Lee, but last podcast, Sam, we talked about a trade that you hated because it was James Harden to the Celtics and it didn't make any sense. And I hate to say it, but Lee, this ain't it. This is another one that just makes no sense for the Celtics. I'm going to put it on the screen now. It is peak August content. I'll read the headline, then I'll go over it. Proposed blockbuster 4-team trade sends Buddy Hield and Robert Williams to Mavericks, Kevin Porter Jr. to Celtics. This is the outline. The Mavericks get Buddy Hield and Robert Williams. The Celtics get Kevin Porter Jr. and his 2nd round pick. The Pacers get Christian Wood and Peyton Pritchard. And the Rockets get Tim Hardaway Jr. and Josh Green. So let me break this down from the Celtics perspective here. The Celtics trade Robert Williams and Peyton Pritchard for Kevin Porter Jr. and a 2nd round pick.
Brad likes those 2nd rounders.
I mean,
Kevin Porter Jr., who is maybe the worst non-superstar attitude-wise.
Yeah, this is rough. This is a bad one.
There's a reason why fans were hesitant to see the Rockets pay him at all. He's essentially the odd man out there. You have Jalen Green now, Fred VanVleet's in. There's no spot for Kevin Porter Jr., which is why he's in this trade. But I don't think the Celtics are licking their chops over here like, oh, yeah, we really want Kevin Porter Jr. That's the missing piece. And you know what we're going to do to get him is give up Robert Williams, who is on maybe one of the best contracts in the NBA.
Not to mention Pritchard.
On an all-defensive team 2 years or last year, whatever, 2022.
Let me ask you this, too. Would you rather have Kevin Porter Jr. at $16 million or Pritchard at $5 million?
Pritchard. They're going to play the same role.
That's what I'm saying. And this isn't to knock Kevin Porter Jr. completely. Like, he's a fine player, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say Kevin Porter Jr. is bad. He averaged 19 points last season, 5 rebounds and 6 assists on 44% shooting and 36% from deep. Like, he had a really good season last year. But he's going to be the third best guard in the Celtics rotation. Like, there's no reason for the Celtics to make this trade. Like, especially when it's going to cost them a starting caliber center and their backup point guard as well. This is basically trying to upgrade Peyton Pritchard to Kevin Porter Jr. to pay him an excess amount of money for the role he's going to be playing, while also giving up your starting center in the process. Right. And let's also talk about the fact that this is, from the Mavericks perspective, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and sign and trading a player nobody wants for Buddy Hield and Robert Williams. What? In what world?
I mean, I'm sure I would be guilty of making some trade like this if I was to try and make up mock trades. But you know what I don't do is try and make up mock trades. I just don't like it. I don't like the conversation's fun sometimes, but writing about it is just like, well, you have nothing else. So something like this is just a head scratcher. What are you going to do? I mean,
this is awful.
It's absolutely a Dallas slanted trade. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Porter Jr. The best part is the Celtics. Nobody wants Christian Wood. The Pacers could get him for free without giving up Buddy Hield.
The best part is I saw this trade. I'm like, okay, this has to be a Dallas trader, right? Lee Tran, who I don't want to bring hate to Lee Tran. Like I said, this is
bring the hate.
Everyone's got to write everyone's gonna write content. This is not meant to be picking on Lee Tran. I just don't think, I just personally disagree with this trade. He went to college in Indiana, so I don't know if this is like for the Pacers, or I think he just writes about the NBA in general. But like for the Pacers, this is Buddy Hield for Christian Wood and Peyton Pritchard. I don't think that makes too much sense. I don't really understand why they would do that. For the Mavericks, obviously, and then even for the Rockets, right? Like giving up Kevin Porter Jr. and getting back Josh Green maybe is good for you because you get more of a role player, but like, why would you want Tim Hardaway Jr., right? I don't know. I'm curious to see why. I want to see his explanation for the Celtics. Even though Kevin Porter Jr. isn't necessarily a top-tier point guard, he's still a starting-level player who has talent and playmaking ability. This past season, KPJ averaged, and then the average, as I mentioned. Perhaps he could become the starting point guard the team needs. Though the Boston Celtics would have to give up Rob and Pritchard, it isn't necessarily a huge loss. They already have Porzingis and Horford, so Williams is less impactful. The loss of him is. This deal means the Celtics would be taking on the risk of Porter's for low cost.
Wrong.
I disagree with
completely wrong. Losing Robert Williams is not a risk-free thing. Robert Williams is I don't know what the word is. He's not the Horford successor, but he's going to outlast Horford in terms of being a starting caliber big guy.
He's the team's long-term starting center. He is
Correct.
Their starter.
There you go.
I even think he should start this year. There's an argument that he could start this year. And I know you disagree with that, but it's not crazy. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's not crazy at all. It makes sense that he will be with the team for years to come. You know why? Because they have him on a really good contract. Kevin Porter Jr. is the Celtics starter? What? Derek White is on the team. Derek White was awesome in the playoffs.
He'd be the third best guard on the Celtics if they made this trade.
Correct. Why on earth would they do this? This is like take away your credentials to log into the website bad.
Yeah, no. This wasn't intended to make fun of the author. I just thought I disagree. I'll put it this way. I just vehemently disagreed with the trade proposal. So it was a topic of conversation for us to discuss.
Starting level point guard the team needs right now. His own team brought in somebody to replace him. Somebody that's not even good. They overpaid Fred VanVleet to replace him.
Yeah,
They
sorry, Lee.
drafted
I
a
don't
point
know,
guard.
yeah, I don't know about this one, Lee. I don't know. I don't think this is the trade for the Celtics. Maybe the Mavericks can scam something, but I don't think I am the biggest fan of that trade proposal. But anyways, I thought you'd enjoy getting angry. You let your anger out a little bit.
You should have just stacked the show with stuff that would piss me off today because it would have been prime content.
Oh man. All right. Next thing we have is something you brought to the table today. The Celtics are ranked 8th in future draft assets. You want to run us through this first and then we can talk about it?
Absolutely. Let me hit the open a new tab so I don't lose the show sheets.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, so Bleacher Report's Eric Pincus yesterday published an article ranking every NBA team by their future draft assets. Now, the Celtics would have been at the top of this list 6-7 years ago when they had all those Brooklyn picks. But as I scroll the list,
Sam's trying his best.
and it reluctantly loads,
They're
the
ranked
Celtics
8th
are
right now.
8th on the list.
Yes.
I knew they were 8th, but I wanted to say
I know.
who they were in the company of. The likes of the Orlando Magic,
Mm.
the New Orleans Pelicans, Brooklyn Nets, all close by.
Pacers
Eric
right behind
Pincus
them.
writes,
Grizzlies as well. Yeah.
Boston is an oddity as a contender that also has a rich list of draft assets. Would you consider the Celtics a draft asset rich team right now? At least just thinking about it.
I think yes, and because of the argument that I hope he's going to say, I haven't read this yet, but in terms of there aren't a lot of teams that can trade all their picks right now. Like look at the Suns last year.
Okay.
They were able to make the Durant trade because they had control of all of their picks.
And Beal.
And Beal too, yeah. But like, look at some of the contenders. The Bucks don't have their picks because they traded them in the Drew Holiday deal. The Sixers don't have their picks right now because they traded them in fuck off who knows what. The Cavs don't have their picks because they traded them all for Mitchell. The Knicks are draft rich, obviously, because they've hoarded them, and they've kind of weird. They've gotten all right. Yeah, Utah has a ton, but like I'm talking about the contenders, right? Like Denver doesn't have control of a ton of their first round picks because they've made moves around the edges to obviously win a fucking championship. Sorry, I swore. Sorry, commenter. Who else? I'm trying to think at the top of the West right now. Like the Lakers don't have control over their draft assets because
They
they've
sure
traded them for
don't.
Davis and other things. The Warriors don't have a ton of their picks. The Celtics have one of them, and then future past that, like they don't have all of their picks. The Suns obviously have 0 draft capital right now. The Grizzlies have some, and I know they're on this list near the Celtics too. So it's like they're not rich in draft assets in the sense that, oh, they could have a top pick to trade, but they're rich in the sense that they could trade their entire draft capital future for a star, which I know people aren't too keen on because we've seen how it can work out. But if a star were to become available, the Celtics would probably have one of the better packages in terms of here's all of our picks because not a lot of teams
It's
can do
true.
that.
I think there's truth to that, but I think the more important part of this comes from the financial aspect of draft picks. It's something we've talked about quite a bit this summer with this new CBA coming in and just being like, nobody's allowed to spend money anymore. You better watch yourselves. You already saw Denver go out this year ahead of the draft while they were still playing basketball in the playoffs and make a trade to get draft picks so they could bring in cheap options to help fill out their roster. The Celtics are going to have that luxury in the years to come. They have the first round pick in every year up until 2030, except for 2028, which is a swap with the Spurs. So they'll have somebody's pick.
Yes.
It just won't be the best one. So they have a first in every single year. They have this year's Warriors pick, which isn't likely going to be very high. It is,
but it's another first
top
for them
4
to trade.
It's another first, and who knows what's going to go on with that Warriors team. I'm not convinced they're going to be great. They have a big window of how their season could go.
I would treat that first as more of a trade chip than an actual pick. But even so, like it's a first round pick the Celtics can trade, so that's pretty good.
And then they have 8 to 10 second round picks. So they've got all these ways to bring in young talent for cheap to put around Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. They've already paid Jaylen Brown. They're going to pay Tatum this year. They might extend Derek White. They have this Porzingis extended contract that they brought in over the summer. The next 2 years, he's going to make a total of $60 million. You're going to have to do something with Rob down the line here. Brogdon's under contract through what? 2 years from now? So they have a lot of their money tied up already. There's not a lot of room to bring in other guys, as we already touched upon in the fake trades, where we were like, wow, they really can't trade for X, Y, and Z because it doesn't fit into their small ass TPE that they have. And there's nobody on this roster making mid-level money that you want to move on from. So being able to bring on young talent that could end up working out for you through the draft because you have a zillion picks and your team is still good, that's such a luxury.
Mhm.
And we really don't even talk about it enough.
Yeah, it kind of flies under the radar because as Zach, who wrote this trade? Was it Buckley or was it a different Bleacher
It
Report writer?
was Eric Pincus.
Sorry, Eric Pincus, because he said, like, we don't talk about it because the Celtics are in the conference finals every year. So we don't really think about, oh, yeah, they have a ton of draft picks. And I think, I don't know if you mentioned this. I think you did. I was checking something. Not only do they have these, like, trade chips, effectively, like for late first and second rounds are trade picks, but, like, they also have a chance to add these cost-controlled guys like you were talking about. And I think the perfect example is they just got Jordan Walsh. Not only did they get Jordan Walsh, they traded back, got a ton of extra seconds to use ad trade chips, and still got the player they wanted. And he hasn't played a game yet, so obviously we don't know for sure, but he looked pretty good in the summer league. Like, he looked like he could probably be a pretty effective player for the Celtics moving forward. And if the Celtics do, lose player X down the line, they lose this player to injure, like, he leaves in free agency or he retires, blah, blah, blah. Jordan Walsh can play defense and shoot the 3 ball a little bit. There you go. He can play minutes. Magic, right? Like that's all you need to do. That's all you need to do in the NBA, right? You can teach somebody to shoot. You can't really teach somebody to be a good defender, right? You can teach them the fundamentals, but you can't teach somebody to be an elite defender. You can teach someone to be an elite shooter. Look at Brook Lopez, right? So the fact that he can do that, if the Celtics can keep identifying these impactful players in the draft with pretty late picks, like Brad Stevens got Jordan Walsh in the second round. Brad Stevens hasn't made a first round pick yet since he's been
afraid.
the GM, right? So
he essentially doesn't want to dive off the tall diving board, only the small one.
Maybe that's it. But regardless, like the fact that he has all these picks as trade assets and can also probably find some okay players under cost controlled deals, which will be huge for the ZBA with them. It's a really good spot to be in. The Celtics, in terms of a future, right? Like this is just ranking future draft assets. You look at the teams ahead of them, right? Like the Magic. Do the Mavericks have a brighter future than the Celtics? I probably would say no, but they're up there, right? They have a really good future, but probably not than the Celtics.
They have one of the better futures. Everybody's really enjoying
Mhm.
Paolo in this World Cup.
I agree. And if Paolo, proves to be that guy even more, like maybe they'll get up there. But right now, they don't have a Jason Tatum. They just don't, right? The Pelicans, no. The Nets, no, not right now. The Jazz, no, not right now. The Knicks, not right now. The Spurs and the Thunder are the only ones you could be like, okay, maybe, but the Spurs haven't done much. But the Thunder are probably the number one.
The Thunder
right?
have too many young guys. They're going to have to like
Exactly.
package them together pretty soon here because they're going to end up having to pay them. I know we talked about this before and somebody was like, that's just not true. But I think it is. I think they're eventually going to have decisions to make with the new CBA coming
They
in
already
and
do.
putting a stranglehold.
They have too many players. I was listening to the NBA for an office show talk about this, Keith Smith and Trevor Lane, and effectively what they said, or what Trevor was trying to make the point of, like, the Thunder have all these second round picks, they have all these firsts, and it's good. Like, they have these trade chips, but at what point are teams like, okay, well, yeah, you have all these picks and you can't make them, so give me an extra one, give me more. And at the same time, like, if the Thunder are like, we'll give you 5 firsts, they're like, we don't want, or 5 seconds, they're like, we don't want 5 seconds, we don't want to have to make 5 second round picks, like, and so they're devaluing their own stockpile. And on top of that, like we're seeing this summer, they're probably gonna have to release some like okay lower rotation plays, like Aaron Wiggins, Jeremiah Robinson, or like some of these guys could hit the open market just because the Thunder don't have a roster spot. So there is definitely a balance. I would still say the Thunder have probably the best future in the NBA right now. I mean, Shea's an all NBA first teamer already. Josh Giddey looks great. Jalen Williams just got second in Rookie of the Year, third in Rookie of the Year. I think he was third. Chet Holmgren hasn't even stepped on the court for them yet, and Case and Wallace look nasty in summer league. Like they've got a really good future, but yeah, man, it's good for the Celtics for being able to not only have a great future with Tatum and Brown, but also keeping their draft assets. Like they've done a really good job so far of keeping their options open moving forward, which is good. All right, the next thing we have in terms of Celtics here is, I believe, a Celtics blog article. We have a couple of them before we get on to NBA news. Shout out to Celtics blog. If you want off-season content, go check out Celtics blog. Sam and I can both happily promote it.
Yes.
We both love Celtics
I'm in.
blog.
I'm in, baby. 5 years. I finally got in. Not for the lack of trying.
For those of you who have been on NBA Twitter or are a fan of a deep, fan of the NBA, immaculate grid, crossover grid, hoop grid, these grids have taken over summer. They've taken over Twitter. And that got Celtics blog thinking, most specifically, Ben DuPont got him thinking, who are the best names from Celtics history that you can use for these lists? And so he went through and he found what he dubbed the most immaculate Celtics. And these are just the best Celtics you can use. And this is his first thing. A few candidates that immediately came to mind: Isaiah Thomas, Rajon Rondo, Jeff Green, Jay Crowder. They all played for a bunch of teams and accordingly would qualify for many categories, but they're also pretty well-known players, either because of their performance or because of how recently they played in Boston. So they probably wouldn't be ideal for rarity score. So
That's facts.
Ben really went on a deep dive. Just Ben DuPont. Go read the article if you want the full explanations of who the best Celtics are for this grid in terms of getting a rarity score. So I'm going to name them. And Sam, these are some deep cut names, so I don't know if you're going to get the teams.
I'm training. I'm training for the final of the first of the floor trivia.
So we got to get them ready.
Day, but I don't think we know yet. I'll be there.
But Sam will be there. I'll be there watching. So Sam, I'm going to tell you these players, and you're going to have to tell me what teams they played for. The first one, Mickey Moore. Have you heard of Mikey Moore? Is that his name?
Mikey Moore. He was on the 2009 team. Yes.
See, look at Sam.
Let's see. I don't necessarily know the other teams that he played for.
How many teams did he play for? Can you give me a number?
No, I don't know. I think he played for the Knicks.
He did not.
Okay, good start. Sacramento.
Yes, Sacramento.
Clippers.
Yes, Clippers.
Wow. Minnesota.
Not Minnesota.
I don't know the rest.
So he did play for Boston. He played for 9 NBA teams, Mikey Moore. Good for him. Played 27 games in Boston, 2 separate stints. He played for Boston, Sacramento, LA, Clippers, like Sam said, Detroit, Atlanta, New Jersey Nets, Utah, Seattle, and Golden State. So plenty of teams for Mickey Moore. He played Mikey Moore. He spells it Mickey. He just objectively spells it wrong. I'm sorry, you spelled your name wrong.
What are you going to say to Christian Brown?
He also spelled his name wrong. That's just it. He played from 98 to 2012. Really long career. Most of his games with Detroit. Sorry if you're hearing my dogs in the background bark. I can't control that.
NBA champion?
NBA champion Mikey Moore? No, not an NBA champion.
Shit.
No accolades here.
Sorry.
But yeah. Did he win? No, he played for Nebraska. He didn't win a college championship. Fun trivia, Sam. What current Celtics player played for Nebraska? Can Sam guess it? Does Sam know?
Delano Banton.
Yeah, there we go. That was our trivia. I think that was part of our.
Was it?
It was an option. Okay, next player on Ben's list of the most immaculate Celtics, Mark Bryant. Do we know Mark Bryant, or is this a dark era of Sam's basketball knowledge?
I'm not familiar.
Mark Bryant played for the Celtics for 2 games in 2003. So we don't know Mark Bryant, so I'll go through here. Played the bulk of his career in Portland, 431 games with the Blazers. Also played for Phoenix, Cleveland, Houston, Chicago, San Antonio, Dallas, Philly, Denver, and Boston. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It was his last stop. Yes.
Tough. Just 2 games.
Yeah. 10 teams in his career for Mark Bryant. 6'9" power forward center.
How many of these are there?
5. There's only 5. So
okay. I want to be able to get something. I want to have a good run.
Yeah, we got more. Mark Bryant. Okay. Damon Jones is a name that I kind of know, so I assume you should.
They drafted him, correct?
I can tell you in a second if basketball reference starts loading. They did not draft him. They traded for him when he was a rookie, though. So they had him his rookie season.
He was drafted by Phoenix then.
No.
I thought he was in the Joe Johnson trade. I don't know. These are all 98. Like in the hole of my memory.
Yeah.
98.
This is 98.
Was that the Phillips trade?
I don't know.
What team did he get drafted by?
The Nets, the New Jersey Nets, and then he
Okay,
was
so
traded to
no.
the Boston Celtics. I can tell you in a second, though. I can tell you the exact trade. Let me go to trade partners here. But I do know it wasn't like a draft day trade because he did play for games with the New Jersey Nets before.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like
Yes.
it was in the draft day trade. He was Damon Jones. Okay, he's not showing up here. That's very cool. Did he get waived by the Nets? What is happening then? Why
You
isn't he in
can
the
go
trade
on
here?
Basketball Reference and just go to transactions.
Yes, you're correct. Let me go trade.
But
I was going to trade.
let me guess some teams.
Sure,
So
yeah.
Nets.
Yep.
Got that one.
You got the Celtics too,
Cavs.
obviously. Yes, he did play for Cleveland. 209 games, most of his career. So good job.
Phoenix.
Did not play for Phoenix, no.
Damon Jones.
10 teams. So you've got a pretty wide net here. And including the New Jersey Nets, 2 of these teams are no longer NBA franchises.
Okay, Seattle.
No,
Charlotte.
not Seattle.
What? No. The Bobcats. How many teams have the Vancouver Grizzlies?
Yes.
I thought you meant they just didn't exist. Okay,
No,
then the New Orleans Hornets.
No. It was the New Jersey Nets, the Vancouver Grizzlies. The rest are actual NBA teams.
Oh.
Yeah. Like cities that don't, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
so
fine.
yeah, you got the Nets, you got Vancouver, you got Boston and Cleveland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left.
Denver, right?
These are truly the most immaculate Celtics. These are players nobody gonna get. So
Yeah.
good for Ben. Do you want me to just list them off for you?
Miami.
Yes. He played 82
He won a title
games
with
for
Miami?
No, year
No, he
before,
was on the title
05.
team.
He was with them in 05. He
Atlanta.
actually averaged not Atlanta. He averaged
All right,
12 points per game in the playoffs. That's
I'm
fine.
done.
Milwaukee, Detroit, Sacramento, Dallas, Golden State. So random assortment. I do want to see how the Celtics
I'm upset.
acquired him, though. Celtics acquired him in 1998-99 season. Now I want to know.
I'm trying to get better with my knowledge from that time period. It's just like a big gap in my memory.
Yeah. No, I know. I mean,
playing like the 2K eras from like the
Have you
90s
really?
to try and like learn a little bit. Yeah.
Damon Jones. Can't find him here. Was it do I have to go to the 99? Was it like the year after? What's
All
happening?
right, we're approaching Sam Goes to find
Damon
it.
Jones
Fine, I'll do it
signed. I found
myself.
it. Signed Damon Jones to the first of 2 10-day contracts. So it sounds like the Nets drafted him or picked
undrafted.
him up. Yeah, he might have gone undrafted, and then the Nets like picked him up and let him go, and then something weird happened. But the Celtics had him on 2 10 days, and that was about it. All right, next one. You ready for the next immaculate Celtic, Sam?
Yes.
Mike James.
Mike James.
I don't believe this is the Mike James who played for the Nets like 2 years ago. This is a different Mike James.
Did he play for Phoenix Suns?
No.
Or is that the other Mike James?
That's the other Mike James. This Mike James was drafted or started his career in 2001 and stopped playing in 2014.
Did he play for... I had another team. This is so bad.
I mean, it's meant to be tough, so that's the point. He
Did
played
he play
for
for the
1, 2,
Nets?
3, 4. No, he did not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 teams Mike James played for. So again, wide net here, but the point is it's supposed to be hard.
You bet I'm going to miss all of them.
Yeah, let's see.
Sacramento?
Did he play for Sacramento? No.
Houston.
No, he did not. Yes, he did play for Houston.
All right. I had a team, and I can't, for the life of me, tell you why they slipped my mind. Cleveland. That was the team.
No.
No.
You want me to list them off? Or
Do we have one
done?
more?
Yeah, there's one more after this guy. He played 55 games for the Celtics. He actually played 55 games, 30 minutes a night. So Mike James played a lot of minutes for the Celtics when he did play for the Celtics in 2003, 2004. He averaged 10 points, but he also played Miami, Minnesota, Toronto, Houston, Washington, Boston, Milwaukee, Dallas, New Orleans Hornets, Detroit, and Chicago. So there we go for Mike James. The last most immaculate Celtic, Tony Massenberg. Do we know the name? Do we know Tony Massenberg, or is this an L?
White flag. Never even heard of him.
Tony Massenberg started his career in 1990. He played for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different NBA franchises. The Vancouver/Memphis Grizzlies. He played for both. Spurs, Clippers, Nets, Kings, Jazz, Sixers, Raptors, Rockets, Celtics, Warriors, Charlotte Hornets. There we go. Good job, Ben. You stumped Sam, and if you can stump Sam, that's a pretty good list. So that's a W there.
Can you name?
Me personally, can I name? Probably not.
How many Marcus Thornton teams can you name? That's mine. That's one of the guys I always plug in there.
Do you have it up?
I have it up.
I know he played for the Celtics, obviously. He played for the Celtics. He played for the Kings, right?
Played for the Kings.
Did he play for the Suns?
He played for the Suns.
Okay, this is where things get tricky. Yeah, this is where things get tricky because this is where I don't know anymore. Did he play for the Nets or was that Crawford?
He did play for the Nets.
Okay, he played for the Nets.
Got 4. I off the top of my head knew one more. I did not know 2.
Okay. I know the Hawks is wrong, but I keep wanting to say the Hawks.
Not right.
Yeah. Didn't play for the Lakers or Did he play for the Clippers?
He did not.
No. Oh, West or East? Give me a conference. I got nothing.
There's 2 West teams, 1 East.
Okay. I'm going through. These aren't my guesses. This is me processing. I don't think he played for the Nuggets, and I'm going to look like an idiot if he did. I don't think he played for the I'm just running down. I don't think he played for the Rockets. I don't think he played for the Spurs. I don't think he played. I don't know. He probably played for one of the 3 teams I already mentioned.
He played for Houston. He played for not Charlotte, New Orleans, and he played for Washington, which was the other team I knew.
I wouldn't have known Washington. I feel like I should have known the Hornets, but I wouldn't have guessed the Rockets either.
I would have no way of knowing that.
All right, I got 4, right? I got 4?
That is my go-to immaculate Celtics guy.
That's fine with me. I got 4. All right, last Celtics thing we're going to be talking about today. Another Celtics blog article, this time from Jeff Pratt. And we're going to be looking at more current stuff. So if you're a fan of the current Celtics, don't worry about it. One thing that every core Celtics member can improve upon this season, which I think is a good topic of conversation.
Okay, great.
So you're going to guess, and then I think we should discuss like if we think that's correct or what else we think should be it. So we'll start with Jason Tatum is obviously the first one. I can see it on my screen. Sam, what should Jason Tatum improve upon this season?
Here's what I think the answer is going to be is like vision distributing the ball.
Okay.
What I would like to see personally is him being more dominant inside.
Okay. Jeff went with 3-point shooting, and I haven't read
That's a good one too.
I haven't read the description, but what I can imagine is go back to being the dominant pull-up threat that he was. Yes, because through the first, I did a deep dive on this, I think at the start of the playoffs, like through the first X amount of years of his career, Jason Tatum was like one of the best pull-up 3-point shooters in the league, and that's why you see him take so many. But for whatever reason, he just sucked last year, and it was frustrating because he took so many. But that's not because like, oh, he's bad at them. That's just because he had the worst year of his career, like weirdly significantly the worst year of his career pull-up threes. So seeing him become a more efficient 3-point shooter again, I think is top of the top. I do think vision is huge, and I do think him getting to the inside a little more would help. But I really think if he can become the 38% 3-point shooter that he has been throughout his career again, I mean, that would take him back up to the top.
It might sound silly. I think him getting to the rim is going to make him a better 3-point shooter for a few reasons. 1, he's more of a threat on the drive. 2, not that he's not already. 2, if he's getting to the rim dominantly, he'll get to the line more, get more free throws, more looks, getting in rhythm that way.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I agree. Jaylen Brown is the second player, obviously.
I know it's not the left hand because I saw it's not the left hand.
The first line of his description is, most of you were probably looking for dribbling left in this section. Sorry to disappoint. So Jeff, knows.
It's not that. His could also be 3-point shooting. His could be defense, getting back to being a good defender, like really consistently. And it could also be setting up his teammates.
What are you going with?
I'm giving you 3. There's a zillion things I could say.
All right. Decision making is what Jeff went with, and I would agree. Becoming a better decision maker, which I guess encapsulates his poor left hand. I stand with, and this is
Don't
what I said
drive into
before.
five guys.
Exactly. Well, I mean, Five Guys Burgers and Fries, pretty good establishment. Let's not slander Five Guys on the on the show, but sorry, that's on me. I couldn't help myself. Jaylen Brown. I said this before Jason Tatum made the leap, and I do think he has become a significantly better playmaker to the point where I can say he's made the leap to some degree. Jaylen Brown just needs to be a better playmaker. That's for me is it. If he can learn to pass the ball better and learn how to decide when to pull up from the mid range, whether to take a pull up three, whether to drive, whether to pass, the decision making, as Jeff put, is truly, I think, the best thing that he can look for improvement on heading into next year. Is that what you would go with as well? Would you go with his decision making?
I think that's a good encapsulation.
Something along it.
Of kind of all of it.
Yeah, something along those lines. I know what you're saying.
Okay.
Next? The next player is Derek White.
Derek White.
Improve upon?
Maybe they want him to be better at playmaking as he's going to be taking on the starting point guard role. That'll be my lone guess.
Jeff went with being more assertive. So it's less a skill.
That's a good one.
Just be more aggressive. And I agree. Because if Derek White plays like Atlanta first round, Derek White the whole season, he's an all-star. You know what I'm saying?
Even game 7, Derek White, he had a stretch there where he was like kind of keeping them within that game.
He was their best player. He was their best player in game 7.
If you go to YouTube and you look up, for whatever reason, Psychopath, look up the highlights of that game, the NBA's edition, he's on the graphic.
He's nasty.
Derek White. Game 7 is on he's next to Jimmy Butler on the graphic.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've said it multiple times. I think Derek White should average 15, 5, and 5 this season. Should probably be their 4th leading scorer. He's nasty. He's just got to be more aggressive. I truly believe that. Robert Williams.
Ooh.
He said more assertive for Derek White, but same thing.
Okay.
Robert Williams.
Everyone's going to say jump shooting because they saw the videos.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm overthinking this, but I almost feel like he's not going to say jump shooting. I think it's going to be being more assertive down low. Like, I would like to see Rob actually be better underneath and actually want to dunk the ball again.
Jeff literally wrote parentheses also being more assertive. So yes, exactly. You caught it on the nose. He's the same thing. I think that's spot on for Derek White and Robert Williams. I think, and you could even throw the jumper in there. Just take more shots, Rob. Like, as much as you want to see Tatum and Brown shoot the ball, like, too often does Robert Williams kick out for a 3 or pass up layups. Take the shot, Rob. And you saw him do that more in the playoffs. I'll give him his credit, but Rob needs to shoot the ball more. Take a few more shots down low. Be more assertive. I agree. Malcolm Brogdon. What do we got? And this is the last one, by the way. He didn't do Horford. He stopped here, but playmaking is what he wanted with Malcolm Brogdon. I would go with the turnovers to the play or the finishing maybe as well, but I think this is less Brogdon needs to improve upon it, at least from my perspective, and more the Celtics need to let him do it more, if that makes sense. So, I mean, because he was a great playmaker in Indiana.
We'll see how the roll goes.
Yes. We don't have to talk about it a lot, but I think it'll be interesting. Like, I'm just curious to know what you think for the rest of the roster.
Okay.
Al Horford.
I would like Horford to get back to being better out of the post. That's my take. I think he wasn't good out of the post last year in the few post-ups he got. That doesn't mean I say, hey, run post-ups for Horford every possession. Okay. No, that's not what I'm saying.
I know what you mean.
I'm saying when he's actually getting the ball, I want the jump hook off the glass to go down. It really didn't last year. I don't have a stat to tell you that, but my eyes and my memory tell you, hey, bounced off the rim a bunch of times.
I wonder if that's something he can get better at. Not that I don't think he's good, but just I feel like maybe he's just old, and that's something that
more
maybe
reps.
He's getting phased out. Maybe
get him in the lab.
If I had to choose anything, and again, this might fall into the category of probably not possible. Quicker on the perimeter again. If he could get back to being the switchable defender he was 2 years ago,
Al Horford,
you know what I'm saying?
Just take youth juice.
That's what I'm saying. Who else? Sam Hauser. Minutes, just play more.
Get nasty at things that aren't 3-point shooting. Become more versatile, but actually don't, because that's what makes you great.
Keep improving defensively. If I had to choose for him, Peyton Pritchard, maybe also defensively or playmaking. Honestly, if Peyton Pritchard can be an even better playmaker, he'd probably earn a lot more minutes. He'd play more.
I think defense is the more important one,
probably, but those are two.
That way he's not getting taken advantage of, picked on, switched on, all of this on defense, and he can just be out there to shoot threes, just like Hauser.
I agree. Luke Cornett, shoot the ball? Maybe if he could shoot some threes.
Become nasty on perimeter, defensively.
I'd like to see Luke shoot a little bit
Do you like
more.
that English? become nasty on perimeter.
Yeah,
I
good job.
think he would benefit from having quicker feet.
Yeah, I think Al Horford would benefit from being 25. I don't think those things are going to happen.
Make him do the little ladders, the
Yeah,
little step ladder things.
All right, I think that's all the Celtics who were on the team last year that will also be on this year. So let's move on to the NBA section of the program, and we'll start with the FIBA World Cup because we have neglected it, and the comments have gotten mad at us for neglecting it. And I'm going to preface this with, we're not experts. I haven't watched as much. I've been relaxing.
These games are on in the morning. Jack doesn't wake up.
I'm not awake, but we do have recap a little bit. Somebody in the comments yelled at us and said, or not yelled at us, but I think they were joking, like, talk about Gershon. He had 18 points. France sucks, buddy.
I don't even think they were being mean. I just thought it was a suggestion. I saw the comment. Jack's defenses are up against the
yeah. Well, the comments have been mean to us lately. No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was intended to be. Well, maybe not to telling us to stop swearing. They're yelling at us for certain things. Whatever. The point is, cool for Gershon.
He's got one more game. That's it.
Yeah, France is cooked. They're done. France lost to Canada, and then they lost to a Kristaps Porzingis Latvian team where Darius Bertans, not Davis, is
who hurt himself.
Starting. Davis Bertans hurt himself, or the other one?
The other one.
Oh, I had no idea. But yeah, that's tough for France. Good for Gershon, I guess, but they're done. They're cooked. See you later.
Yeah.
USA is 2-0. And I put on here because Sam tweeted about it. Walker Kessler got owned by Thanasis on post.
Thanasis not only dunked on Walker Kessler, but like also beat him out of the post pretty bad, and then finished it by dunking on him. So I vote that they should just send Walker Kessler home. Who says no? I'm sure the Jazz are fine with it. No risk of him getting hurt. Fans of the USA team like myself that just watch every single game, every single play,
of course,
are like on the same page. Like you can't let that happen. Thanasis. You can't be letting him do anything. I'm not convinced that I couldn't stop Thanasis.
Yeah, that is a tough look.
That is the worst look. Like who
USA,
actually who looks worse, France or Walker Kessler, and why?
France.
I don't know.
If you want the funny answer, then it's Kessler. But if you want the
it might be Walker Kessler.
It's not Walker Kessler.
You getting dunked on by Antetokounmpo, not named Giannis, is pretty difficult to cope with. When you're supposed to be a rookie that's ascending as a rim protector, the Gobert replacement, really? Thanasis? Not only just getting dunked on, like it wasn't a freak like cut dunk. It was I beat you with a fake in the post. You looked silly at first, and then I finished it by just owning you at the rim.
It's tough. Tough for Kessler.
Danny Ainge has to be on the phone.
I mean, yeah, that's tough.
Hey, can we have Gobert back? Said nobody ever.
I'm going to need to Sam start holding up a fucking sign to know when I'm allowed to talk about the next thing, because I can never tell when you're done.
It's the pause.
It's killing me.
You gotta have the effect.
You fucking pause and then keep talking, and I'm left here stumbling.
Sometimes I think of punchlines, and I have to throw them out there.
You just did it again. USA.
I responded to what you said. You said something, and I responded to.
USA is 2-0. Dominican Republic is 2-0. I'm just going over these teams that are still undefeated. There's actually a lot of them. Serbia is 2-0 without Nikola Jokic playing. Lithuania, Montenegro, both 2-0 in their groups. Germany, Slovenia, Spain, Canada, and Latvia, who obviously, like we said, upset France, also 2-0.
Jokic, by the way, just getting shit-faced everywhere.
He's chilling. I love it. He's going viral.
Every time I go on Twitter, it's just Jokic drunk.
It's awesome. He's having the time of his life, and I respect
It's awesome
him
once. Once I like write about it for Nug Love, I don't care anymore. Do something else.
Sorry, Sam, you are not the only human on the fucking planet, you piece of shit.
I'm an only child.
Yeah,
what do you want out of me?
You fuck. Other storylines from the World Cup. Japan upset Finland. They got their first win over a European team. They came back from, I usually wouldn't care. They came back down from 18 points to win by 10, which is just kind of nuts, which
That's
I thought
Celtics
was worthy of
league
talking about.
By the way, nothing I love more than when like white guys are playing for Japan. Like who's the guy that's playing on Japan? Like he has like a Midwestern last name.
Yeah, their center. I think he was born in the U.S., but he's of Japanese descent or something like that. I don't exactly know.
They find any loophole they can to just play on these teams.
Well, I was going to ask you, Rondé Hollis Jefferson is currently second in the tournament in points per game. Who is he playing for, Sam?
I was listening. Like he was out there.
I was listening to the Hoop Collective, and they asked Tim McMahon and Tim Bontemps this question, or Brian or Wendy and McMahon this question. So I figured I'd ask you.
I don't know.
Good luck.
I have
Any
no
guesses?
idea. I want to guess like I almost want to say the Philippines, but I know it's not because I know Jordan Clarkson's the one on
It
that team.
is an Asian country, but it is West Asia, so it's not like it's like
Is he playing for like Pakistan
closer.
or Kazakhstan?
Jordan. He's playing for Jordan.
Jordan.
Mm-hmm. They're not very good, but he's averaging 35 points a game.
This is like
what else we
another
got?
reason it's difficult for me to get into the World Cup. I mean, they did it with baseball too. Like Klay Thompson's brother was on the British team.
Yeah. I mean, he is Jordan. He is Jordanian, I think is what it is. He's just born in the US, but he's also Jordanian. Another storyline for South Sudan, Kamen Maluik. Sorry if I can't say his name. He's a 2025 draft prospect, but he just made his World Cup debut at 16 years old, which I just thought was like nuts. He's 16. He's 7'2", turns 17 next month. 2025 draft prospect, and South Sudan beat China in the World Cup. So I was like, that's probably worthy of us at least bringing up.
I feel like that's actually a pretty decent win.
Yeah, I mean, China's 0-2 now, so they weren't very good this year.
Is Thon Maker on that team?
He's not. I actually don't know if he is. I know Carlick Jones is, who is a Bulls player, and he's been like pretty nasty. He's like 6th in
It is funny what NBA players can do when you give them more control. Like if they're not just stuck in a small role, like you're like, oh, that guy can do that.
They're nasty. They're
NBA
players are the best.
He can do it, but just not as good as the guys that are allowed to do it in the NBA. Which is why he just shoots threes.
Exactly. Speaking of Luka, Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, Carlick Jones, Karl-Anthony Towns, and Jordan Clarkson are leading the tournament in points per game. Tremont Waters is leading in assists. That's your World Cup update from the people who don't really watch the World Cup. That's what we got for you.
All
right, the next thing. The next thing, then, if we're skipping the next thing, quickly, Noah Lyles, is that his name?
Oh, yes.
Got really mad.
Forgot about this.
Yeah. Noah Lyles got really mad at people. Noah Lyles is a track and field Olympic sprinter or something like that. He's an Olympian. He won, I believe he won gold. He won like double gold. I think he did some crazy shit where he's the first to win a gold in like 2 separate events, like specific events. He's really good at what he does in the Olympics. He's a runner.
Exactly. In the NFL.
But he got mad online, which is my favorite phrase.
No, he wasn't even online. He was in an interview.
Well, he was posted online getting mad at the fact that the NBA champions call themselves the world champions. And a bunch of NBA players commented on the post, like KD, I think Book did. I know got the hiccups. Tyler Hero said something about saying like
Tyler Hero.
Noah Lyles was like, they can't call themselves the best in the world.
Yo, that's not cool.
He came in and said, you can't call yourself the best in the world when you're just competing. You see, you're catching yourself doing it now, right?
Yeah, no, I didn't mean. Well, you're just so ready to get on with the thing.
I'm trying to explain the context of what we're talking about for the people who are listening to the show and don't know what we're talking about. Just because you know what we're talking about doesn't mean they know what we're talking about. He basically got mad at the people, NBA champions or the NBA for calling themselves the world champions when they only compete against teams in the United States. And a bunch of NBA players said, well, that's because it's the best league in the world. And obviously the argument is all these international players come to the NBA to compete in the NBA because it's the best in the world. So obviously the world champions. And his argument is, well, you're not competing against all the teams in the world, so you call yourselves the NBA champions. This is peak August content, in my opinion, but I'll let you share yours.
Well, if you took the NBA champion Denver Nuggets and said, it's Sunday morning, you're going to play against the winners of the EuroLeague. And then once you beat them, you're going to play the winners of the CBA. And then you're going to play the Australian team, the NBL, and so on. They would beat the piss out of all of them. That's how I know it. Like, it doesn't matter. Line them up. It's August. Roll out Jokic, drunk off his ass. Aaron Gordon right next to him in Serbia. All the boys, Jamal Murray rehabbing from the World Cup. They'll beat the piss out of everybody. It's not even going to be close. You see the preseason games where, like, Team X plays Real Madrid. It's not close, except that one time Phoenix lost to the Australian team.
Yeah, but like if you extrapolate everything over the course of a championship or playoff run, it's not going to happen, right? Also funny, if you Google who won the CBA last year, Google thinks it's a typo and spits out the Denver Nuggets. So they're the champions of the CBA too.
Yeah. Okay. Jokic got ready to learn Chinese. I thought it was going to say like who won, the players or the organizations, like the collective bargaining agreement.
No. And for what it's worth, the champion of the CBA last year was led by Jakar Sampson, former NBA player. So if you'd like to pair Jokic against Jakar Sampson and ask me who would win in a battle,
Yeah,
sorry.
I get the sentiment. Like technically, yes, they don't play against the Spanish teams, the French teams, and so on, because they don't have to. They don't have to. Like,
Yeah.
actually, do we actually know what the second best world in the second best competition in the world is? Is it
Probably
the G
Euro
League?
It's probably the Euro League.
Okay,
And then
I'm
G
just
League. But
genuinely curious.
I don't know. I mean, I don't think there is an actual answer. I
should
think
rank
the
it.
biggest they should. I think the biggest difference is there is no other platform for track and field competitors to run against each other other than national meets and international meets. Meanwhile, the NBA is just the league where everybody goes, right? Like, of course, you're going to have the occasional player who never makes the jump to the NBA just because they don't want to, right? Like, you'll have international players who just play internationally. Like, Oscar Schmidt never played in the NBA. He probably could have. He's like a Brazilian legend or whatever that I was listening to the Hoop Collective talk about. And there's these other guys like who just play in the EuroLeague their whole career because that's what they want to do, right?
Mhm.
But right, like it's not like Luka Doncic couldn't play in the US because he was only allowed to compete in Slovenia.
Correct.
And if that was the case, then yeah, the NBA wouldn't be the world champions. But it's the world champions because everybody from across the world comes to this one place to compete. Meanwhile, track and field, like there's no track and field association that's just located in America that everyone from the world competes against. No, they just compete for their countries. There's no
What do
track and
people
field
care about?
teams. And also,
Literally
like,
anybody care about.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I agree with what you said. Like, this is, I understand what he's saying because it's not the world champion technically, but like, it's stupid. It's just, I think it's
Just line them up like a set of bowling pins. The Nuggets will roll right through them.
Agree. They should do that every year just to prove a point. Anyways, all right, let's do Reddit post of the day. You got something cooking here?
Yes. Reddit post of the day. Saw this over the weekend. Thought it was pretty good conversation topic, especially for me as a hater. Comes from user Cultural Roll. In your opinion, which superstar has the worst elimination game performance since 2000? For him, he says, this crown would have to rest on the shoulders of Dirk Nowitzki. I'm a huge fan of the guy, but going 8 points on 2 of 13 shooting, 0 of 6 from 3 in Game 6 of the first round as the number 1 ranked team in the NBA, it's just unforgivable. Not to mention he was named the NBA MVP a few weeks later, had to accept the award in the street clothes in like the back tunnel of the arena or whatever he did. This cannot happen. He would never live it down in today's social media era. People still talk about it. I know what it is. Do you have any that jump off the top of your head to you, Jack?
It's tough for me to think of them. I'm Googling.
I do
because
without
can't
looking
think
at
of
the
anything.
comments.
The first one that comes to mind without looking at the article I just pulled up, I don't know the exact stat lines, but the Suns getting run out of their own arena by the Mavericks
Okay.
2 years ago was, I mean,
That's a
that
good
was
one.
next level.
That's just a
I mean,
team
they lost.
performance.
Yeah, they lost by like 50. They were like Luka Doncic had more points than the entire Suns team in the first half. Like the owner of the Suns had to put out an apology statement 2 weeks later.
Good for him.
Like,
He should have.
that's
He
tough.
probably should have.
So that's
Was
the
it
first
for
one
the
that jumps
game or
off.
was it for the other stuff he did? All right, let's go.
All right, what do you got?
Off the top of my head, James Harden, Game 6 and 7 against the Celtics. He was terrible, and then
That's
he's
true.
demanding a trade. Other mentions from the comments: Paul George, Game 6 of the first round against the Jazz in 2018. He played 45 minutes, shot 2 of 16, 0 of 6 from 3. He had 8 assists, 6 turnovers, and a 5-point loss.
This Paul
Oof.
George.
Paul George.
The first one I found was former Celtics Dennis Johnson. This is the number one on this Sportskeeda list. Number 1, Game 7 of the 78 finals with the Sonics. 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 blocks, 0 of 14 shooting.
Oh my God, dude. Can you imagine? Can you imagine today, like with Twitter?
In a game they lost by 6 points.
Yeah.
Wow.
Somebody said I know the question is since 2000, but we can give an honorable mention to John Stark's 1994 Finals Game 7. In a low-scoring game/era, the man managed to go 2 of 18, 0 of 11 from 3. If he shot 35%, the Knicks would have won a title, he says. Can you imagine me if somebody shot 0 of 11 from 3? I would have an aneurysm.
Well, Sam, number 2 on this list is Game 3 of the 2010 Finals, Ray Allen.
I wasn't old enough to have an aneurysm.
This was Game 3, so it wasn't an elimination game, but it was in the 2010 Finals. 2 points, 4 rebounds, 0 of 13 from the field. Ray Allen.
Was it close?
Game 3. Let me find out. This was.
It was at
NBA
home
Finals.
too. What a kick in the balls. They were up.
Yeah.
They were 1-1 coming home. That I know.
Yeah, they lost 2010 NBA Finals Game 3. It was a 7-point game. And Ray Allen shot 0 of what was it? 0 of 13. Yeah, it's tough. Kevin Garnett was.
How did we
11
not
for
say
16.
this one? In 2019, Boston Celtics point guard Kyrie Irving had one of the worst playoff series I've ever seen. After Game 1, he went 4 of 18, minus 19 plus minus. Game 3, 8 of 22, minus 7. Then said, "You'll never see another 8 of 22 again from me." Game 4, 7 of 22, minus 6 plus minus. And then in Game 5, 6 of 21, minus 25. And then
That's
he
crazy.
left. He
Yeah, that's
played
nuts.
so bad in that playoff series that I was telling people there is no way he can leave on that note. It will affect his legacy forever. Kind of has. And he would just never live it down.
Yeah, that's tough.
Let me see if there's any other good ones before
I have another one. I found this list. Kenyon
Okay.
Martin in the 2003 NBA Finals, Game 6. And this was elimination game. They lost by 11 points to the Spurs. Kenyon Martin shot 3 of 23. As a big man.
Was just out there firing, dude.
He took 2 threes.
Like our boy Kobe.
2 threes. So he shot 3 of 21 on 2-point shots against the Spurs in a game they lost by 11 points. Not a great look. The Nets as a team, shot just terribly. 34% that day.
Yeah.
Not a good look.
Jason Kidd in Game 7s against the Pistons in the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs. 0 points, 0 of 8, 42 minutes.
Yikes. Yeah, that's tough, man. This is
way more fire than I thought it was going to be. Oh, I love
this was fun.
This is like my heaven, just roasting.
I'm curious, like recent ones, like Joel Embiid was terrible in Game 7 this year.
Yeah, literally before you started talking, I was going to go, some of these stat lines y'all are commenting make Embiid's Game 7 look like a historic masterpiece.
That's what I'm saying. Hate to say it, Jaylen Brown Game 7 against the Heat was pretty terrible. Like that was
actually true.
That was really bad. What did he end up shooting that game? Do you
Someone
remember?
said Chris Paul hits a huge three to cut the lead to 42.
Yep.
You said it.
Do you remember what Jaylen Brown had in that game?
No.
Jaylen Brown, he had 19 points, shot 8 of 23. Yeah, 1 of 9 from 3. Yep. That's about right. I'm curious that 2022. I want to know the stats from that Suns game first, and then we can.
Somebody
I just want to
said
know.
Harden had so many bad ones, bro. What the fuck? Because like, if you go through this thread, I have not read them all out because I really don't feel like being that much of a hater today. But like, it's like Harden from this year, this game against this team. Somebody put like 5 or 6 of them in a row. Yeah, obviously I said this year, there was last year. Like, there's just so many games from Harden that are just terrible.
See, the best part about the Suns game is they tried so hard to win that the minutes look like normal minutes, like a regular season minutes, like 36, 33. But like they took them out at the end of the game. They lost by 33 points. Devin Booker shot 3 of 14. Mikal Bridges 3 of 11. Chris Paul 4 of 8. DeAndre Ayton 2 of 5. Right, and in the first half alone, it was Devin Booker 0 of 7. Chris Paul 0 of 4. Mikal Bridges 2 of 8. The Mavericks had Mavericks had 27 points in the first half. Like, I don't think we talk about that. 27 points in the first half. That's not a quarter. That's a half. In the conference, in Game 7 of the semifinals of the Western Conference, Luka Doncic had 21. They let Spencer Dinwiddie score 21 first half points against them. You're cooked. Anyways, that we
Pascal
can
Siakam in the bubble during the Celtics series. That was my wake-up call that he isn't that guy when left to his own devices as the number one option. And I still stand on that. Great Robin player, though, from the championship season.
Left to his own devices. Is
First comment. To be fair, Boston had a great interior defense anchored by Czech's nose Daniel Tice.
Bro, that the saying left to his own devices is maybe the funniest statement I've ever heard. Like, that's just the root. That should be our next topic. We don't have to do it now. Who is the worst quote unquote left to his own devices player in NBA history?
The worst?
Yeah. Who is the worst, like, a second option who's great as a second option, but when you put him as the first option, it's just, I mean, people immediately listening to this would be like, let's look at Jaylen Brown's Game 7 against the Heat. But, like, genuinely, who is the worst elite second option? We don't have to talk about it. This can be next week if we want, but
let's
you know what I'm
that.
saying?
I like that, but
I think that's a good topic.
I'm not going to sit here for 5 minutes and be like,
exactly.
Oh yeah,
exactly. We'll think about it.
Russell Westbrook.
Leave us yours in the comments, and we'll talk about it next week. All right, let's get to the rat list here. Sam, would you like to kick it off? I know you've had a day.
I've had a day, but like none of it's rat listable. It's just like, oh, I hate myself. Not really, but it's like along that line, pretty much. It's just like overthinking things. First rat list. I'm not going to rat list the person that made this happen because their intentions were very good, but I'm going to rat list the gummy bear from game night. Now,
what the fuck
game
is
night?
That?
I'm going to explain, motherfucker.
I'm just laughing because I see gummy bear on the rat list sheet. Yeah. And I'm like, what is happening?
Okay. My friends and I had a game night on Saturday. I love game night. It's one of my favorite things. There's usually at least 6 of us, and we always have a good time. My friend Tim, who is great, had the idea to go out on his own without being asked, spending his own money, and bought little prize gifts for everybody that won a game.
That's cool. Yeah.
Very cool of Tim. That is why this is not rat list Tim.
Tim.
Tim, however, was malicious in his gift getting because he got some gifts that were negative gifts. One of the gifts he got was called the Nitro Gummy Bear.
I don't know what that is.
The Nitro Gummy Bear is over 4 times as hot as the one chip challenge.
My God, I see it. Yeah, I've heard of this.
I unwrapped the Nitro Gummy Bear.
For those wondering, I'll pull it up on the YouTube. That's
it. Yep, I unwrapped it, and that fucker was looking at me.
Did you eat it? You had to. You can't.
I ate half of Little Nitro. My friend.
I don't like when you call him by his name.
My friend McKenna ate the other half of Little Nitro. My friend McKenna got it much worse than I did. Make no mistake. What I felt from Little Nitro was not bad at first, became worse. I sweat a little bit, but it wasn't really anything worse than that. My throat, I could feel it. I eventually had some milk, and for the most part was okay. McKenna ate Little Nitro and began to have stroke-like symptoms. He said he was burning very badly on one half of his mouth. When I was suffering from the effects of the gummy bear, I said to McKenna, "Do you have milk?" And then McKenna said no, as he has the entire cereal aisle on the top of his refrigerator. But he ended up having milk after he checked. So I had a sip from the carton. He proceeded to drink half of the carton. And then proceeded to complain about his stomach because he drank too much milk. And then after we all left, he threw up and felt all of the heat from Lil Nitro again on the way up. So I guess the gummy bear should not be on my rat list, but McKenna's rat list. But I think it made for a pretty good story.
Wow. So wait, let me. He got prizes. So you won the game and you unwrapped Lil Nitro.
Correct. And at like when we were playing games, like this happened towards the end of the night. So he had like a bunch of stuff and he was really like he wanted to offload these gifts. He was like, yeah, like we still have a lot more, guys. Like, let's give out a prize because he wanted somebody to get he also had the one chip challenge.
Yeah, that's so fucked up.
Well, what would be more fucked up is if you bought Lil Nitro and then put him in a bag of Haribos and then like, here's some gummy bears.
I don't think I can fully express how much I hate you calling him Lil Nitro over.
It's his rap name. Him and Tyler Hero.
Oh my god. I don't have anything nearly as funny as that for my rat list, but I'll try my best.
I should have saved it then. I should have closed with Lil Nitro.
I'll rat list my glasses. Here, I'll show you. You can see them on the camera. I
need to get
super glued them
goggles.
again. I know. I super glue them again. You can just see the line of super glue. But the past 2 weeks, I've gone to basketball. Sam and I play on Sundays, just like pick up or whatever. In the past 2 weeks, I've snapped them again. They've been broken for months, right? Like
they just like fell off your face yesterday.
No, I got hit in the face, but they did.
You did?
Yeah, it wasn't like I got elbowed or like significantly hit, but like someone was going up for a rebound. They like bodied into me and like I was also going up and they fell off from there. It snapped on the ground. But the week before, I was literally just cleaning them off and they just snapped in my hands. So it's not like anybody's fault. It's my own fault for not getting them fixed. But ratless my glasses for that. And I think our next ratless is also about basketball, so we can discuss this, I believe. You put this on the screen, so I'll let you.
Yes, because Jack and I were talking about this before the show started because there were some individuals that some of the people we play basketball with were not happy with yesterday.
Rats.
We will not name drop them. But what we will do is brainstorm a list of the worst types of people to play pickup basketball.
Can we describe the two players we're talking about and have the chat or comments vote who is worse? Because I can't believe you think yours is worse.
Go ahead.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to say mine first?
You can go ahead.
Okay. So the type of player who we dealt with both these players yesterday, and I don't want this to come off as like these are bad people. They're nice. They're nice enough people. It's just the way they play pickup is frustrating. So this person that I am frustrated with, I wasn't even on my team, but I could tell his teammates were getting pissed. He basically plays like prime Rockets James Harden. Doesn't pass the ball.
Fair.
Minus the
good assessment.
Minus the assists, because James Harden averaged like 11 assists, but minus the assists. Doesn't pass the ball. Not exaggerating. We played 10-minute games. Probably took 20 shots a game. That's not an exaggeration. Genuinely, he took 20 shots a game.
I was guarding him.
Am I wrong? He took 20 shots a game. At least. Shot maybe 2 of 20 from 3. He didn't take layups, only threes. Maybe 2 layups a game, and he missed the layups. Like made 1 3 a game, but when he made that 1 3, turned to his teammates and said, "See, that's why you passed me the ball." Being an asshole on the court. What got mad at his teammates when they missed shots because they didn't get him the ball for a shot, even though he shot again 2 of 20. Got mad at his teammates for missing layups. Got mad at his teammates once because by like X amount of games in, because we kept the same teams, we're in like the second to last game of the night. His teammates didn't pass him the ball and they took the shot his own. Walked back down the other end of the court before the possession was over because he got mad they didn't pass him the ball because he was just being like a diva and just like walked back that like James Harden. Didn't play defense. He never got back on the other side of the court for defense. He just waited at half court. Didn't play defense. And then just got mad at his teammates for not giving him the ball ever. And like would get mad at him and say, you do this. What are you doing? How'd you miss that? Or he would like look like distraught when his teammates miss it. Just like the worst. And then also just like fouled people like on layups. Like he'd have a fast break and he'd jump over the back of a teammate. He'd be like, oh, and he also, which Sam can appreciate, tries to draw offensive fouls. He tries to draw like Trae Young fouls. He's like jumping in front of you.
This person called a foul on me when I closed out on them.
I
They
witnessed
followed
this.
through, and like he hit my hand with his hand.
It wasn't a foul.
And I was like, what happened? Cause like they stopped play. I was like, what happened? He's like, you hit me. I was like, okay, I guess so.
Yeah, he calls Trae Young foul. So he takes 20 shots a game, gets mad at his teammates for not giving him the ball, lost every game because he shot the ball too much, and gets mad at his teammates for missing, fouls other players, and calls terrible fouls. He's the worst type of pickup player because it is literally 1v5 and everyone else doesn't get to play or have fun. That is my bid for the worst pickup player.
I mean, you gave a pretty good description. Mine's not going to be as in depth, but
I was really angry. And again, it wasn't even on my team. I liked my team.
My good friend Frank, who is going to be featured in a small story after we're done with this, because it's just one of the funniest things I've ever encountered.
Shout out Frank.
We were brainstorming about an individual, and we have determined the best description of the way that this person plays is like a random when you play the rec center on NBA 2K, where you really are playing 4-on-5 offensively because you cannot give them the ball and trust them not to shoot it.
Sure. I understand in hindsight. Yeah.
And it's not going in. It
went in. I'll say that before you continue, he made more shots than the guy I'm talking about.
Maybe.
Which is saying something.
I don't know.
Continue. It was close, which is a problem.
There was like a chance to win the game yesterday with like 5 seconds left, and there were like several people open, and he took the ball up and just chucked from half court.
Your guy or my guy?
Our guy.
Yeah.
And it was just a sight to behold. But when I play, I don't even like to take a lot of shots, really, but I have to think twice if I'm going to give the person the ball, because I'm like, we can't really afford that right now.
Mm-hmm.
So from being a person that's distributing the ball, I don't like that feeling. And I don't have to deal with the type of person that you're complaining about, because either I'm going to handle the ball, or two, like it's like a respect thing where like it's like, okay, I'm not gonna, like, there's a trust element. He feels the way that I feel about the rec random, about literally everybody he plays with for whatever reason.
Yeah, but that's a problem.
No, it is a problem.
See, it's like they're the same player but opposite. At least your guy's not handling the ball, right?
He's trying to.
I know, but at least he's not like
he was literally up at the inbound, like clapping for the ball.
I also think it's an attitude thing too, because he will like stand there and he'll shoot it when he gets it, but he's not going to sit there and bitch and like get mad at other people for not getting him the ball. It's different. It's just, I don't know. They're both not good players to play with. Also, I'm gonna rat list. I don't think but just the way it went down yesterday. So the way we usually play pickup is we do captains and we pick teams, right?
We haven't done that in a while, in fairness.
Sure, which I think we should go back to on one condition. I'm going to explain.
It's fair.
So
it's fair. Fair argument.
When one person is there in particular who kind of plays like the guy you've been complaining about, we play
might be a duplicate.
After 3 wins, the winning team can't play anymore, which I don't like. I agree with you. I think the winning team should always stay on. That's fine.
Correct. There is no backing down from that. I know what you're going to say, but there is no exception to that rule. If you want to not have us play, then win. Simple.
Agree.
Go on.
However, if we're going to do that, then we need to do captains to
Correct.
avoid the situation that happened last night, where the 3 tallest, best players on the court, for the most part, were on the same team. So I am the next tallest player in the gym. I have a 3-inch vertical. I don't have a fucking chance. We're playing against can I say names or should I avoid names?
If you're gonna like just praise them, go ahead.
Yeah, they're good. We're playing against this Jaron. He plays high school ball, right? He's got to be nasty.
He's an adult.
Oh, how old is he? I don't know. I don't know these people.
21, maybe.
Whatever. He is 6'3", 6'4", crazy athletic, can make 3 points. He is the best player in the gym. He's just the best player in the gym. Then there's Sam, who is probably second or third best player in the gym, and Worth, who is the other second and third best player in the gym. And these are all 3 of the tallest players in there, 6'3" plus, who are all also probably the most athletic, at least you and Jaron, in the gym. And Worth, who is fucking Nikola Jokic. Like, let's just call him what it is. He plays
Kevin
like Jokic.
McHale. Yeah.
Yeah.
With his
So,
footwork.
and then there's my team who we have really good players on our team, but I am the tallest one by a good 6 inches. Like, we don't have a chance.
I think your team. No,
we had really good players. We had really good players.
Your team had talent too. You just didn't have size.
Yes, but when
you guys really should have beat us. Like, we got kind of lucky the game that
we did. We were there, and that's the only reason I wasn't super mad, because we were right there and we should have won a couple of them, but we just didn't. But I will say, when half of your points are, let me just get a rebound over fucking cement foot Jack, I'm getting angry. I'm getting really mad down there. I'm trying. And so that was frustrating me. If we're going to play winner stays on, we got to do captains, because that team would not have happened if they were captains.
I think our team was definitely the best team, but I don't think we were so good that we could not be beat. Like, we almost lost 2 or 3 times.
I agree, and I think our team we had really good players, because we had effectively all the best point guards.
You had the
right?
good small players.
Exactly. But when you have a team that's really good and a team that's really good, and the one big difference is everybody on your team is 5 inches taller.
Yeah,
it's you know what I'm saying. So that's why I was getting angry. But by the time we lost like 2 games in a row, I was less angry in the sense that this team is unfair, and more angry like, fuck, I just want to beat them. This is pissing me off now. And so that's where it was. But I do think we should do captains if we're gonna do it like that, because also that third team was
Speaking of third team,
yes,
Frank.
Love Frank. Frank's a legend.
I drove Frank to basketball yesterday, as I usually do on Sundays. I enjoy the company in the car. I like giving rides. I also brought Devin, who is a friend of the show.
Yeah.
Frank is in the car with the two of us, and he says, I'm pretty excited to play today. I haven't played in a while. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And then I said, you're going to go out there, you're going to be rusty, and they're going to be all mad afterwards at yourself that you didn't play well, or you're going to be upset. He says, no, I'm just happy, gonna go out, get exercise, move my body around. We're gonna have fun. Fast forward to 2 hours later, Frank is threatening not to come next week if Rec Random guy comes and plays again. Frank today, who went on one of the longest upset rants I've ever seen. Let me pull from it and just see what I can read out loud without incriminating Frank.
While you find this, Frank also is the type of rec player who gets really mad and starts committing really hard fouls when he's angry.
He did not do that yesterday.
He did. He did it once.
Now this is Frank today. Yeah. After saying he's excited to go out and have fun. Literally had the least amount of fun I've ever had playing with them. I'm not going to read that part. I had to sit twice because of first guy.
Oh yeah,
that guy Jack was talking about was not taking breaks, which
he also
did rotation. I sat out.
Every team had 6 players, so you had to rotate that guy.
And then he doubles down and says, "I'm serious. If Rec Random is playing again, I'm not coming next week."
Oh man, ball was quite the experience. I did have fun. I was getting frustrated because we kept losing. For reference,
so much fun.
Yeah, because you won every fucking game, you asshole.
I won, and I got to not sit when I won. That's what I like.
You're a rat. Yeah, that's whatever. No, I had fun because I liked the players on my team. I just enjoyed playing with them. They were cool. I was frustrated because we couldn't win because we were small, and it's weird because I was the center for my team, and you'd think, oh, you're tall enough. I'm just not even close to as athletic as the other players on the other team, so it's
do a good
different.
You're.
There's only so much I can I'm 2 inches shorter than Sam. I'm 2 inches shorter than Worth. I'm 3 inches, 2 inches shorter than Jaron. So it's I am close enough in height where I can guard them. I think I guarded Worth most of the night because Worth plays a lot in the post, and so I would just bang down low and guard Worth in the post. But while I am physically able to keep up with you and Worth and Jaron, there's just no way I'm getting a rebound over any of you. It's just not gonna happen because you all just jump over me. It's just not close. I mean, there were a couple of rebounds where Jaron would literally just grab it from my hands and put it back up. I can't do anything. And then also, as much as the players on my team are good defenders, like I was talking to Tyler, and Tyler was like, "Yeah, I literally just jumped and Jaron shot over me. I couldn't do anything." So like, there's only so much you can do. But like I said, I like the players on my team, so I had a good enough time. Anyways,
I hope that wasn't boring. If you listen to this, just let us know what you think of it, because it could go either way. I think it was entertaining, but if you don't know any of it, I can see you hating it.
I mean, Lil Nitro was all time.
Oh, no. I don't mean the rat list as a whole. I just mean us talking about playing basketball.
Yeah, hopefully you liked it. I mean,
Lil
let us know in
Nitro,
the comments.
you put him on the thumbnail.
All right. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you very much. We'll put the How About Them Celtics back on the screen. As a reminder, subscribe to How About Them Celtics. We would appreciate it very much. I think we're at over 1,200 subs now, which is pretty cool. Thank you all for tuning in. Check us out on Spotify and Apple. Leave us 5 stars and leave us a comment. Leave us a comment about the who the worst second option as a first option is, and whose pickup player you would like to play with least. Let us know about the rat list. Give us some feedback on the rat list.
Yeah.
And I'll let Sam
tell us what you think. Yes, thank you very much for listening or watching. If you're watching, you're on the YouTube page, whether it's us, CLNS, or the other CLNS channel. If you're on ours, subscribe, join over 1,200 others, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads this summer. As painful as they may be to put together, you can watch them. Leave a like, comment, let us know all the things that we talked about, what Jack just said. You can find us on Spotify and Apple as well. Leave a nice 5-star review there and follow us. You can find the socials. They're at How About Them C's, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. The Facebook is just the name of the podcast. You can find Jack on Twitter at Jack's Money Bay. You can find me at Sam LaFrance. And that's it for us. Bye.
Tic-tac-toe.